This broadcast from IOF TV is brought to you by T-Cartor and Lumonite.
Hello and welcome to Genoa in Italy for the second round of the Orienteering World Cup. We are right by the coast of what should be a couple of fantastic sprint races on this terrain that you see here in front of you. You might have been already taking a look at some of the GPS tracking at some of the live results for some of those earlier starters, but we will bring you the top ranked athletes then as they progress around the course today and see if they can really master the challenges. Incredibly different to last weekend's World Cup when it was held in Switzerland. Very different challenges being set for the athletes today, and it should maybe blow the competition wide open. But it's a good atmosphere here, as you can see, right by the coast, which is where the finish is today. And it's good conditions for sprinting, I tell you as well, in the low 20s. It's nice conditions for heading down from the hills that you saw to finish on the coastline here already. We already have quite a few runners having made their way all the way around the course, and there's lots and lots of athletes who are on the start list. Some big teams out there, and many of whom of course were in Switzerland, have made the short trip out to the coast for these sprint races today. We've got a sprint race today and a sprint relay tomorrow. But this is where we'll see a lot of the TV coverage here on this kind of Italian garden because you can see all of these terraces, and we'll also have some of this beautiful drone footage across the older part of the town, which you can kind of see in the distance as well. But it also gives you an indication of just the amount of climb that we have on these courses. The women's course with 105 meters of climb as well, which is really incredible. And Jonas, I'll bring you in here as we get ready to have a little look at the course itself. What kind of sprinters do you think this course is going to benefit?
Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned it. It's much more technical than it was last week when we had this kind of suburban urban sprint on a rather flat map. Today we have contours, today we have narrow streets, quite many decisions to take. You mentioned the climbing. I would say most of the climbing is actually possible to avoid on one of the route choices. We're going to see this today because we start almost on the top of the hill. We have you see the start there. This is the first climb, and I would say almost to the highest point of the course directly out from the start. There is actually a route choice 1, 2 already. Quite many shorter route choices in the beginning where you go left or right, and you can lose about 5 to 7 seconds on each wrong decisions. 4 or 5, very important leg here that you get the right route out from this kind of labyrinth up there, and then 6, 7 also into this Italian garden, as you mentioned it to be. 9, 10, interesting. You have the possibility to go a bit to the north through a church. Actually, they had to clean the garden there, just north of Control 10. Then 10, 11, route choice here. You could go up. It's not worth it in the women's race. We will get to it when we go again in the men's race. So you should go down there. Then you enter this kind of village center. You have a map flip at control 15. and kind of 2 loops here in this narrow streets of Genova, and then the last 3 contours along the beach to the finish.
Yeah, and
The
not
TV controls, maybe to say, it's control 9 and 13. So here we have route 1 to 2. You can see it, different options here. I would actually say that something kind of the blue purple one should be shorter, definitely shorter. The red one maybe a bit easier to execute. You have the possibility to read ahead already. You don't have to run through this forest like bit. It's not really forest. It's more like a park up here. The course planner was very. It was very important to him to mention that as you can see, it is quite hard on the ground, so it's not gonna get slow even if you have to run through this forest kind of bit. But it's a bit special. You don't see that very often, that you have both kind of forest orienteering, even if more park orienteering and city orienteering in one, and so many counters and kind of a labyrinth as you can see it here. 4 or 5, very important that you take the exit from control 4 as it's marked here. There's another possibility. We've already seen quite many that don't see this, go more to the south and to the west, and then you lose a lot of time. So here it's very important that you take this exit from control 4 to 5. Here we have this kind of labyrinth out from the fourth control. And that's also something quite important to say already in the beginning. It is rather slow to take your route choices, that if you go downhill, try to avoid the stairs.
Yeah, so this is very, you can see how steep it is, just the rockiness as well. And it's going to be really hard, I think, for the athletes to be able to picture ahead what they're seeing, and everything comes up incredibly quickly as well. You have all of these like very small paths going, looping left and right, and all of these steps and all of these kind of passages as well. So we have a start list with our best in the world ranked towards the end. And Jonas, who do we really want to be looking out for here then as we look down the start list?
Well, maybe we can say that the race is already ongoing in the finish right now. We have Martina Ruch in the lead, but definitely, I mean, the big favorites, they come towards the end. We say it every time. It's somewhere between Simona Abersold and Tove Alexandersson. Last week, though, we had the victory by Natalia Gempele. I would also say that we have a few more athletes that can be a threat today, because there's so many decisions to take. It opens up for a bit more of a surprise. It's not as physical as it was last week, so definitely also a chance for Hanna Lundberg. Alexandra Hornik was very strong last week. Andrine Benjamins and Teresa Janosikova. Megan Carter-Davis back again, so that will be interesting to see.
Yeah, she's back after illness last weekend, the Sprint World Champion. And this is confirmation then. Martina Ruch, current leader, 16 minutes and 42 seconds. We're kind of expecting a 14 to 15 minute winning time for the women. So still quite a lot of opportunity for people to go quicker than our current winning time. So these are the current standings then at the finish. Martina Ruch with that lead at the moment. But it's, look, you can see it really is very close, and lots of athletes on a similar time or same time. So maybe I think that just shows just I mean, how many athletes there are actually, and
it is very close, but at the same time, the leading time right now is 16:42. So I think there's still quite a lot of room to improve here. Also, if you look at the GPS, you can see that almost no one made it through without like missing one of the route choices, of the fastest route choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is the start then. There's quite a long run out actually towards the start control itself. and which is here as Paolo Gross is just passing this, and then you're straight into some of this tricky navigation. But as you said, we've got a TV control at control number 9, so it means that we have the chance to kind of look at what a lot of the athletes are doing as they come into this control. So we're live there, Laura Robertson from New Zealand. And you can see her now catching up with her on this turn, heading down into the control.
And the thing that makes it quite difficult here in this part is that you have some kind of tunnel passages, subways you have to take, or you can take, and they are very hard to spot because you have so many turns and different levels. So it is hard to see the different route choices, and then at the same time you have to run down the steps, as you can see here. So it takes away your time you would like to invest into map reading. So it's quite hard to handle everything at once.
Yeah, it really is. And then you can see there's some of these barriers being put into place, and the course setter was actually really clear about the use of barriers, right? Wasn't he, Jonas?
Yeah, I mean, in this part here, he said he doesn't really like barriers, but in this part here they had to put them up so that people don't run over the grass and in the park. So he uses it. He said, if I have to set them up, then I use them. It's the same in the city. You can see maybe later when you have a look at the map again, there are a few artificial fences. They had to be built in order to stop the traffic. And then he said, if I have to build them for the traffic, I'm going to use it for the route choices as well. So he uses the one he has to put up anyway.
But yeah, you just saw Laura Robertson then taking a lower route choice to number 10, which I think is quite a good decision then, I think, for her. So she could go through the church, or she could go down the steps. So that was the choice for Laura Robertson. And we still having runners coming thick and fast through the start list. We just saw Josephine Chenland. Here's Maja Sienaya from Finland. She was in the top 30 last weekend in Switzerland, just getting ready to go. You can see you using kind of the compass there, looking at all the control descriptions. And actually, there was an old map available for this section, so they will have some idea of what they're doing. Here's, I think this is Grace Malloy.
But we have to mention there is an old map, but it looks quite different to the one they get today. Yeah. So that's also something the course planner talked about. The runners will be a bit surprised when they get the map, because a few things were not as clear maybe on the old map as it's now. A few things they tried to open up, a few gardens that weren't open on the old map, or passages, as we mentioned this church where they had to clear kind of the vegetation in the garden in order to make it runnable, and it's different than the old map. So you don't have to. It's always a risk when you're too fixed on the idea of an old map as well. You have to stay flexible in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Grace there, having gone into that control, was just trying to see exactly which way she was going next. And then starting after her, this is Eveli Karsaku, who will have actually, looks like she's got a much quicker time then compared to Grace Malloy. Josephine Lind, this is in the village section as we jump much later in the course. You can see Johansson, our current leader there.
That's also something the course planner mentioned. Maybe not the thing you think about first, but usually you prepare for a sprint a lot with Google Street View. It's impossible here because there's no there's no possibility for cars to drive here, so there's no street view. So it is hard to prepare for this kind of sprint.
Yeah, Pia Young-Vick then here in towards
into the wrong
mistake
entrance.
Slightly. So and we know she was leading at the previous split as well.
She's on the way to 13 to the TV control. So this was control 13, now on the way to 14.
So back in the garden, here's Anna Dracorn, and could this be the new fastest time here, where she's had a great start? And we saw Eveli Karsaku, who we actually just saw previously at this point. She did go into the lead at that point. She just did look like she was catching up quite a lot of time on Grace Malloy. But Ducorn going into the lead by just 9 seconds. Great start for the Norwegian, who's really become quite a solid member of their sprint relay team.
And also a good exit from the control to the next one.
Yeah, I think the aim of having those 3 controls very close together has been a lot about trying to... They're not very difficult controls, but it does mean you've got to be in the map, and it's really hard to then plan ahead for the next route choice.
It's this and the fact that it's very easy to film there. It's good. It's good TV pictures.
That's very true. Back at the start then for Malin Egvik Christiansen.
And you can hear it. It's actually a drone following the runners. This section.
But
Also
Laura
a
Robson,
reason.
she's just punched number 12 though, on her way to 13, and they're exactly also missing that little passageway as well.
And the drone filming here, it's actually a reason why the second loop after the map flip is not going into this narrow bit where Laura Robertson is at the moment, because yeah, of course, there's a risk that too many runners will make it difficult to fly the drone. So they try to avoid too many runners at once in this narrow section. This is Paula Gross on the way to the 10th control, or maybe already to 11. I know she's on the way to the split, not having the best route.
Oh yeah, she's dropped down all the way round and then having to climb up here. No,
that's a bad route choice.
Slower.
It's one of the route choices the course planner did not even mark as a route choice. Usually not a good sign.
And then is she prepared for this next route choice? Reasonably well. Cuts the corner a lot better than some of the others.
You could see that the gap already 117. You can see, yeah, she went all the way to the left there. The best is to go to the east, take the steps down into the garden. Of course, you have then to go to the left again, but yeah. It's not an easy one to see.
No, and it's really hard to see what's shorter and longer when you've got all the wiggles and turns of the little paths as well. So it's really, really tricky. We'll take US Finland in towards the finish then here. You can see Martina Rouge still our current leader, and US Finland will be over a minute down. And Pia Young-Vik, though, is she going to be the new leader in towards the finish? She had a good time at split number 1. Let's see, it's only a short distance here towards the finish line. And can the young Norwegian go into a good spot? It's going to be very close. Oh, 1 second behind. Pia Young-Vik into second place. You can see Anna Ducorn going the different way to control number 13.
Anna Ducorn in the lead at the first TV control. Her lead there 9 seconds ahead of Eveli Kasiku. Now it's 21. So good second part as well.
Alva Sonnesson then here, She made the top 10 of the sprint in Switzerland last weekend and made the semi-final of the knockout. So a runner in good form. Let's see what she can do. And back then to the garden. This is where we get split 1. So Anna Ducorn, who we've just seen through to split 2, is in the lead at this earlier point as well, with Evely Karsaku into second. Pia Youngvik, who's just come into the finish in second place, was currently third at that point. Catch up with Maria Larsen. Here she is, just, you can see her looking down there into the garden, trying to spot that control. And that's always a good sign, I think, when you can see the runners like looking out and trying to spot. That's very skilled jumping down those steps there.
Very attacking in the downhill here. She seemed to be good, well prepared.
Yeah, she really does. This looks very, very strong from the Norwegian. Maria Larsen in the top 20 last weekend, but she is a little bit slower than a couple of her teammates. You can see Ducorn still with the fastest time. Back at the start then, this is Caroline Olsen, and she was 13th at the weekend. Last weekend in Switzerland. Very different challenge though this time, but she's got lots of experience, and you can see she does not taken her eyes off that map at all. Maybe just once in that section. She's really trying to gather as much information as she can. And here's the very section of the course. This is really cool because there's all of these fishing boats here that they've taped off, as you can see, and they're marked in pink on the map, and it's really cool.
And we're waiting for Evely Karsaku. She had a lead of 40 seconds at the pre-warning, so most likely to be the new leader very soon at the finish.
Here she is then, and she will know that it's looking good and that she's been catching up on the woman who started just before her. So Evely Karsaku in towards the finish here, Estonian European medalist in the forest, and this is a good run from Evely Karsaku. Let's see what the time is. 16:01 then, 16:01, the new leading time, and she's just taken seconds out of the rest of the field throughout that whole course. Fantastic result there at this stage for Evely Karsaku. But still lots more women to come, and we're not yet close to that expected winning time of between 14 and 15 minutes. But Marika Taney, out of the start, a great middle distance runner. And again, see her folding that map up. Here's the finish. Here's Anna Ducorn. What can she do?
She has a very good time at the pre-warning as well. Was more than half a minute ahead of Evely Karsaku. So very soon to the finish as the new leader, Anna Ducorn.
Big chunks of time being taken out here from both Karsaku and now from Ducorn. This is fantastic here. And she crosses the line to go 31 seconds ahead. So 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Anna Ducorn has had an amazing run there, and she is the new leader. This is Rita Maramorosi, the junior world champion from last year.
If you look at the splits by Anna Ducorn, she is leading most of the course, but not everywhere, because Rita Maramorosi is a little bit quicker at the first and second radio control. So coming now to the TV control, but you can see that she lost time. Now somewhere close to half a minute behind Ducorn.
Yeah, she must have lost. Yeah, she's lost 30 seconds just on this route choice there and down here. Interesting to see on the GPS exactly what was going on there. Maya Sienaya, that is the 13th control. And into third place. Not too far behind Karsaku there.
She was half a minute behind already at the first TV control, so didn't lose a lot of time between the first and second TV control.
No, and those are the standings at the control we have just seen, with Maya Sienea fitting there into third place. So about 4 minutes of running from this point to the end, and it's not easy at all. I think all of these very, very short controls at the end, just when you're feeling tired as well, I think we could see quite a few mistakes, even if that's just small hesitations, things like that, small, just people overshooting gaps and passageways between these buildings, as we have already seen. But this is Inkernerminen here towards at the start. We've got a 90-second start interval at this point. Just see her getting ready to take the map and get the start underway. Start to watch. Very nervous time. Obviously, will have been in quarantine for quite a few hours.
This is Alva Sunesson on the way to the TV control.
You can see she's just turning her feet, that's stair technique. But yeah, she's lost quite a lot of time for this early stage of the race. There must have been a few route choices, a few errors in here. You can, again, it's always a good sign when you see the athletes looking up and spotting the next control.
Yeah, at the same time, it's usually not a good sign if you're 1.5 minutes behind.
Well, no. Yeah, and pretty much every athlete we've seen then taking the route here, you can see, yeah, big time, a whole minute time loss between 4 and 9.
And there we can also say that, I mean, 7, 8, 9 we have seen here in the picture, so it's basically, I guess, it's between 4 and 5 that you lose the time.
Cécile Calandry next to start was 6th place podium spot then in the sprint race last weekend, and made the semi-finals too in the knockout. So the French athlete in good form. Here we have Sandra Grosberger from Latvia. Again, her two looking up, but lost quite a significant amount of time here.
At the pre-warning earlier, she was very much closer. I think she was only 4 seconds behind at control 4. And also Grosberger lost between 4 and 5. You can see it here.
Yeah, you can see like everyone's really close on those first few controls, which are not too tricky, and then you get some difficulties. So Ducorn did this one really well, and this is a mistake.
Yeah, it's so
I think a lot
important.
of people are making these mistakes.
Yeah, it's so important that you take this route there, the straight one we have seen in the preview when you had we went through the course in the very beginning. It's not very easy to spot, but it's so important to get it. You can see the difference is 1 minute.
Yeah, Maya Sienea here into the finish. It's worth investing, like properly stopping and just checking you can get through the gaps. You invest a couple of seconds on that and you save a whole minute because you found that quickest route. It's such a maze there. As Maya Sienea into third place, 41 seconds down on the leader. Here's Caroline Olsen then, back in the garden section. And
also she came from the other direction, from below. You see most of the runners come down the steps there, just at this control. I know she's already leaving. No, she was coming from the other control. It's a bit confusing here. They come from so many different directions to the control, but quite far behind already.
But I do think this route choice going down here is much better than the going back up the steps, I think. Yeah, you're already nearly at the next control. Here's Emma Biesmo next to start. The Swedish athlete. And it's always interesting to see how different people kind of behave on the start line. Some people looking very, very calm. Some people trying to psych themselves up a little bit. Trying to kind of be in the right frame of mind to really attack this course from the very, very start. And that's certainly what Emma Biesmo is going to try and do. Let's catch up then with Maria Laursen. This is the finish. You can see all these boat sections here. And this 19th control. So you have to dive in between these small buildings as well. The course setter said he really wanted to make it tricky orienteering all the way to the end of the course.
I mean, it's not really tricky orienteering, but it's still, you have to take decisions all the way to the finish, almost to the last control. So I think that's mostly what he meant. But I mean, here you can't lose a lot of time, and you're most probably not going to make a big mistake.
So Maria Laursen, you can see she's lost a lot of time between 15 and 18. In fact, that's a big amount of time lost there. Because she was much, much higher up the standings. And tricky. Let's see what Marika Taney's done, because we know Dukorn has done this one well. So
yeah, so you can go and take the subway there. Kind of, you can see it here. She didn't see this option to go to 7 and pass by the steps, so she went through this church and all the way around, lost a lot of time there.
Yeah, the course setter as well was talking about he didn't want there to be too many equal route choices. He did want there to be some that were actually better or worse. So it was very important that you take the right ones, or at least you take the right ones the vast majority of the time. But I don't think this is the right one here for Ana Isabel Toledo.
I mean, it's not so bad, but I think it's especially because you have a lot of steps you have to drop on the last bit to the control. It slows you down so much. If you go to the south, you have short steps out of the garden, and then it's rather easy and good runnability all the way to the control.
Yeah, and then allows you to plan ahead to the next control as well, which is the longest control on the women's leg. There is a little bit of route choice on that one as well. But back at the start, Victoria Heistad Bjornstad is getting ready to go. She took 4th place in the knockouts last weekend, and we can go back to Rita Maramarossi at the finish.
She was a minute behind at the pre-warning, so she's not within the fight anymore.
No, but she's still within the fight for a top 5, though. So it actually does show you how spread out these athletes are, because she's still, even a minute down, is in with a fight chance of making the top 5. So the current reigning junior world sprint champion, Rita Maramarossi, great to see her making this good race on senior level. And it will be into 4th place. Big gaps here. So Inka Nurminen as well, just through that TV control. And again, about a minute down. So it's being able to spot all these different passageways and trying to decipher which way is quickest. There's so many of these little paths that go underneath other routes, and that's why it's really, really tricky. And Cécile Calandry has actually stopped there.
She started really quick on the first controls, then took the right exit control from control 4 as it seemed on the GPS, but halfway she kind of left the route and went all the way around. So Yeah, she will lose time on this one as well. I think she's gonna be between 40 seconds and a minute behind.
Yeah, you can see there on the screen, she was in the lead at controls 2 and 4. But it's really from 4 to 5 and then 6 to 7 that it gets very tricky. So I think those really are going to be maybe some decisive points of this race.
And I really try to keep an eye on that route now to see if there are any runners coming, having the quick route from 4 to 5. But it has been a long time ago we have seen that quick route. At the moment, all the runners take this one around 40 seconds slower.
And it's just like that, lost a whole minute compared to the other runners. Incredibly tricky. Hannah Lundberg then next to start. She was 5th. In fact, she was the best Swede in Switzerland on the individual sprints. But Marika Taney then is on her way to control number 13, having gone kind of up and round from 12. You could go down and back up, or up and back down again. Both those routes are viable, but losing time here again, and now going to be outside the top 30, I think. And I think this tricky course is just, I mean, we were kind of briefly mentioning it earlier, it throws things wide open, and really good orienteers making mistakes, they can drop very quickly down the results.
It's one of these races where it's very important that you don't leave the control you punch until you until you took the decision all the way to the control, and until you're sure you spotted the best possibility, because sometimes it's just that you have to find one possibility to get to the control. But today it's really worth it to invest another extra 3-4 seconds in order to find the fastest route, and not only a route to the control.
This is Sandra Grosberger then towards the finish, the Latvian. And you can see she's looking for, I guess, a top 10 spot here. Maybe just outside, powering all the way to the finish.
And I think we're gonna see one runner soon that had quite a quick route between 4 and 5. It's not this one, coming later in about 1.5 minutes or 1 minute then, but this is Emma Biesmo.
Yeah, you've got to really throw yourself kind of down some of these steps, and Emma Biesmo certainly doing that. You just drop a lot of height very quickly. But no, Emma Biesmo, I guess she was about 19 seconds down at control number 4, but she, again, as you can see, she's dropped more than that. Oh,
here is one of the controls, you just have to take a decision.
But you can kind of tell she wasn't, I don't know, in the map, or maybe she's thinking too much about where she's going next. As you can see, she was very prepared for her routes back up the steps there. Very interesting. Caroline Olsen then at the finish into 5th place. 1 minute and 10 seconds behind. You can see actually just gradually losing time. In fact, she lost quite a lot of time between 2 and 4. And then a few more seconds here and there throughout the course. A good last section though, I think. But still, Anna Dukkorn from Norway with our lead, 31 seconds ahead of Eveli Karsaku.
And this is actually the runner I've been talking about. I'm not sure if she executed it so well, but she was definitely on the route that should be quicker out from the control. You can see that the gap is not too big.
No, 30 seconds down, Elina Gempela. And yeah, really attacking those stairs as well. But yes, she's got to make sure she goes up. is such a 3D course. You have all these levels, and obviously you've got to really try and picture that in your head. Luckily, there's lots of kind of tags on the contours, so it makes it a little bit kind of easier to see. Cécile Calandry then, she is on her way to the 13th control. This one here. And it's been, yeah, really hard to geek this section because it's so narrow. You can't see it on Street View. And Cécile Calandry within a minute currently. I think Anna Isabel Toledo on the second kind of loop through here. But back towards the finish and the boat section, Marika Taney. Here she is.
And we still have Anne Dyrkorn in the lead, quite a clear lead, half a minute ahead, and you can see Marika Taney far off the time at the Norwegian set.
Yeah, more than 2 minutes behind. Maybe a few mistakes. So at the start, Ifan Dongen, medalist in the World Championships knockout, but didn't have as good a weekend last weekend. Had a disappointing 69th in the individual sprint.
And she lost the SI card in the qualification for the knockout sprint, had to turn back and missed the qualification then. This is Anna Isabel Toledo on the way to the finish. Oh, 1.5 minutes behind. See it just outside the top 10 right now.
Yeah, going 1 second quicker than Maria Prieto.
Good start for Hanna Lundberg. Actually, I can't see her route because she doesn't show up on the GPS here.
Speaking of good starts, though, Hanna Lundberg is only 7 seconds behind Anna Dyrkorn here. She was actually in the lead at the first couple of split times, but dropping kind of 17 seconds, I think, compared to Anna Dyrkorn between 4 and this point we've just seen her. Here's Natalia Gempeler, then the winner of last weekend's individual sprint race at the this World Cup. And this is going to be a very, very different test for her. Into the last few starters, as you can see, Tove Alexanderson will be our last starter today. This is Charlotte Ward, British athlete, on her way to control number 13. And you can see as well, we're following all of these runners on the drone. This is very impressive flying through here.
We have to say it's kind of an advantage you have the drone. You don't, you're not in the way as a camera person or operator. As long as you see them coming and can kind of fly up.
See Charlotte Ward just checking the codes there, not wanting to make any mistakes, and Emma Biesmo should be coming around this corner. You can see Cécile Calandry was on her kind of second loop through this section, and Emma Biesmo down in 35th, and this looks like Venla Hayu. It is indeed 17 seconds down. This is not, I think, the best route choice here, though.
It was quite good between 4 and 5, then not the best route between 6 and 7. I think that's where she lost those 17 seconds.
Back with Charlotte Ward again. And Emma Biesmo should be chasing her. Yep. Here's the Swede. See, something maybe you're not quite used to as an orienteer. But Cécile Calandry is on her way towards the finish. But she has dropped quite a lot of time then on the last section of this course after the second TV control, because she's now going to be more than a minute and a half down. You can see lots of athletes here very, very close together, and she's going to be outside the top 20. In fact, she had a very, very good start. She was still kind of third and second at this first two split times, and then has dropped down in the latter stages.
Victoria Hesta Björnstad was 31 seconds behind at the TV control at the first one. Here she is, a bit closer now. Not very much.
So back towards the start, we're into the last four, and here's Tereziana Shikova, who took third place last weekend. And I know she was incredibly pleased to kind of bounce back from disappointment in the knockout sprint to be able to take a fantastic individual result. Speaking of good individual results, Alexandra Hornick was fourth.
And a very good start here. I mean, she was behind at the second control or at the second radio split, but she had good route choices between 4 and 5 and also between 6 and 7. So that's going to be very interesting to see how it developed for her. I think she was about 17 seconds behind in the beginning, but shouldn't lose too much. You can see it here.
Yeah, so Hornick in good form and continuing that, even on a very, very different course, very, very different characteristics.
She was already, I think it was 16, 17 seconds behind at control 4. So a good section there between 4 and 9.
So Hannah Lundberg there as well, and I think she also overshot this little passageway up here. We've seen a few people kind of do that on the broadcast, and she's gone down and then back up here towards control number 13. This is the control, and so Hannah Lundberg into 5th place. Still lots that can happen. We've seen lots of people lose a lot of time on this last section, but as Hannah Lundberg goes through there, we can confirm the standings at this point on the course. Still, some of these later athletes really not matching these early quick times of Anna Dukon and Eveli Karsaku. Still in 1 and 2 at the finish as well. So next to start, you can see there with a special graphic, Megan Carter-Davies, the current sprint world champion. She's had a tricky winter with injury, but she said kind of at Tia Mila that she's now managed to do that recovery from that, being able to have the very quick training that she's kind of wants to do for all the sprints this year. So we'll see what she's able to do. She was ill last weekend, so it will be for her first opportunity to test out her form compared to the other top athletes. But Ben Lahayu is absolutely flying around there as we catch back up with Elina Gempela at the finish. Lots of support then here at the final part of this race. And is it going to be a new 4th best time? It looks good for Elina Gempela.
I think that we're going to switch from one Gempela to the next one, because here is Natalia Gempela.
Oh, yeah, except she has stopped.
Yeah,
where is she going?
Yeah, exactly. She had quite a good route between 4 and 5, then didn't have the best one between 6 and 7. And now a few hesitations.
But this surely
here.
is the easiest part of the course.
It is, definitely. But maybe she was reading ahead already, because it is the easiest part of the course. You can see it's going to be tight between Durkorn and Gempela. And as I said, not the best route between 6 and 7, so it seems to be a good speed when it comes to the physical form of Natalia Gempela.
So Victoria Hestad Bjornstad into second place at the finish. So 2 Norwegians in the lead at the finish. Incredible work, but still Anna Dyrkorn is in the lead here. Now we move to another of the favourites, Simona Aebersold, of course, took 2 second places last weekend. She is also current reigning silver medalist in the walk sprint, the World Championship sprint. What will she be able to do? And then, of course, we have our final starter. She has 47 World Cup titles, Tove Alexandersson, and she is the master of so many different sports. She did struggle in the latter stages of the race last weekend, so what will she be able to do today as we catch up with Andrina Benjaminsen?
She actually didn't have a good route between 4 and 5, so I expect her to be about, the normal 40 seconds behind. We've seen many runners that took that, slower route to control 5. Then she had a good route between 6 and 7. So, maybe it's not as much as the others. Might be around 25, 27 seconds.
No, and unlike Gempela, she's got good flow through this section. And you can see, I guess, like the percentage of time that they're spending looking at the map compared to just running as well. It's going to be so high for this course. Oh, okay. Oh, I wish we'd stayed on a slightly longer to see exactly what she was going to do there. But anyway, we can take Hannah Lundberg towards the finish. I think she will be outside the top 5. And so I'm just trying to see where she's lost the most time. It's quite tricky to see, but anyway, into 8th place. 1 minute and 11 seconds behind Dyrkorn. Very tricky racing. So we have comparison then. We're live with Natalia Gempela, and she looks like she is the only one who's going to be able to, at the moment, to go ahead of Dyrkorn. She's certainly looking the most likely.
It's the first time you see this route choice here. The blue one, I would say slightly, at least closer, shorter. But you can also see something we mentioned before. It seems as if Gempela is faster when it comes to the running.
Fen Lahayu into 3rd place. A very strong run from the Finn, who probably is more of a forest specialist, but incredible running from her today. This looks like it must be Teresa Yanashikova. It is indeed. The Czech athlete, 3rd place last weekend in this individual sprint. But already with time losses on this course. Slams on the brakes after that control to take the other route choice. This is Natalia Gempela on her way to the 13th control to split 2. And is she going to be in the lead at this point? I think it is looking likely.
Definitely very good speed in the uphill there. And you can see it, she was 9 seconds ahead at control 11. Now it's much more. Now it's around 20.
So 11 seconds was the gap in the end. Here's Megan Carter-Davies, and this is her in the churchyard, I think. Yeah. She's gone into the churchyard and turned around and gone the other way.
So I think she found a quicker route when she was looking more closely to the map. It would have been possible to go there, but it would have been longer, definitely. Carter-Davies, hard to say. I think she had quite a good route between 4 and 5. It's a bit... it was a bit tough to see on the GPS if she got all the passages right, but I think it was quite okay. Then a good route between 6 and 7 until the mistake we've just seen.
But she certainly should have gone down the other steps, because she's now having to run a further distance here, definitely. But I think it was definitely better to turn back out of that kind of churchyard where you see it was quite overgrown there, rather than continuing straight on.
But you can see quite a big time loss in the beginning. I think she hesitated around 4 when she left control 4, and then we had the mistake as well. That one we have seen. And now we are waiting for Simona Abersold as well. Here she is. She's definitely quicker because she started 1.5 minutes behind. She had a good route to control 5. Then not the best one between 6 and 7, so she lost about 15 seconds there.
Yeah, again, slamming on the brakes. So very comparable with Gempela, though, who we could see has just gone into the lead at the second TV split. So good start for Simona Abersold and Alexandra Hornick into the top 5 then. Another good result for the poll, I'm sure. I think that'll stack up quite well when it comes to comparisons with the others. Andrina Benjaminsen, that was control 12, she's just punched. And now we'll get her next split at the next control.
Yeah, but it's very clear in the characteristics of the course that you have to survive the way until control 9, and then in the section, like the second part is like everyone left is fighting for the top, let's say 10. And
here's Tove Alexandersen.
She struggled with the route between 4 and 5 already. Now I think she made something similar as Megan Carter-Davis. She won't have the quickest time when she gets to the first TV control.
Oh, and she definitely won't if she's going to do that.
Yeah, she's not taking the steps. So that's another time loss.
Yeah, she's going to have to drop down and then come back up again. This is, yeah, she should have gone kind of continued, and then rather than turning that hard time.
She doesn't have to go up that much. She can come in here to the control, but it's not the fastest way to get to the control, definitely. But you can also see, I mean, she missed the route choice to control 5, then she did this mistake to control 7, and still she will be within a minute.
And you can see the speed, actually, that she's just flying through all of these controls and making a very kind of smooth route there as well. And then she stops and gets the right route choice, what we think is the right route choice. But Tove Alexandersen down in 18th place at that particular point. This looks like Teresa Yanashikova on her way to the 13th control. She's got to get the right passage. There she does. That's exactly what we want to see from the Czech athletes. And we're looking then for Natalia Gempela at the finish. This is going to be really, really tight here then. What will the Swiss athlete do? It's going to be really, really close to that time of Anna Dukorn. Will we have a new leader here at the finish? Will she take a second win in a row? Let's have a look. She crosses the line. She does go into the lead by just 2 seconds. And I tell you what, at the pre-finish time, she was the same time as Anna Dukorn, or 1 second slower. So that is, I would say, tricky.
Definitely technically better round by Anna Dukorn, but the speed today in Gempela's favor. She was just quicker. You could see it every now and then when she was pushing. She looked very quick. You can see it here, the comparison. That's interesting. Look at Dukorn and Gempela having this left route choice, which is good. Alexanderson going all the way around. Then Dukorn quicker there to 5. You could actually cut over the open area. Then no one of them did have the quickest to 7. You should go as Alexanderson, at least in the beginning. Then here the mistake by Alexanderson. And then also here going all the way around. I think it's quicker to take the steps.
Well, Tove Alexandersen Yes, she is behind, but if anybody can recover from a mistake, it is her. As we catch up with Simona Abersold, and of course, Simona was very, very close to Natalia Gempela's time at our last split. And let's see whether she's going to be able to
This,
take a new lead here, because this is going to be very interesting.
yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Now they have this map flip, and then again one shorter loop in this section, in this narrow section.
Did we see Gempela make a mistake at that control? Like she went past it and then came back round?
I didn't
I think
see
we
it.
might
I
have
was
done.
looking at the GPS then, but I remember that you reacted on something.
Yeah, I think she might have passed the control and then had to do a 180 turn back. Anyway, Benjaminson in towards the finish. She will be slower than Hornick and into 7th place then, 40 seconds behind Natalia Gempela. That means we've only got 4 athletes yet to make it in towards the finish. Teresa Yanashikova, Megan Carter-Davis, Simona Abersold and Tova Alexanderson. Well, we'll get Tova through the second TV split very soon, but it looks like Simona Abersold really the only one who's able to challenge Natalia Gempela.
I would
Well, I don't
agree
know.
on
You
that.
never want to count Tova. You never want to count Tova Alexanderson out.
Yeah, but she wouldn't. Actually, she needs to be there now, doesn't she? I think she. I mean, now she punched the pre-warning, and she is behind, quite far behind. So I think we can count her out. 36 seconds the gap. We should see her in the picture, I guess, very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it only looks like Simona Abersold's left who can challenge for the win. Here's Tova Alexanderson. This is the 12th control. The drone goes up to make way for Alexanderson.
But you can also
And
say
you can see she's already behind, you know, there we go. Compared to Abersold, she's already slow and she's not even punched his control yet.
And but we can say in the finish we have 6 runners within 35 seconds, so it's still a chance here to get the, yeah, let's say top 5 maybe for Tova.
She stops to read the map right there. You can tell she's got a bit more of a kind of stop and go
Yeah, and I
maybe
mean,
technique compared to some of the others.
That's a very clear sign that she hasn't been training as much sprint as the others. We know that she shifted her focus quite recently towards sprint, and when you start training sprint, that's exactly how it looks like. And after a few weeks, you get more fluent in your technique, in your running. You know how to adapt the speed in order to be able to read the map. I think we will see a more fluent kind of Alexanderson at the World Championships.
Yeah, I think you could be on something there. Yanashikova in towards the finish, not quite matching her success of last weekend. 19th place at the moment, with just 3 athletes to come.
Now, very soon, we're going to have Simona Abersold, I guess, to the last control. Should be there in a minute. I think that's her. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it is Abersold. Just the last couple of controls still to go. And let's see.
Good. It looks very good for Abersold.
It looks very good. How has she managed to catch up that much time on Natalia Gempela in the last section? This is incredible running here then from Abersold, because suddenly she's managed to pull a long way ahead. She was only a couple of seconds ahead at the TV control number 2, and she's going to have the lead here by 30 seconds.
And she has actually
Simona Abersold, this is incredible stuff here.
She's actually never won a sprint in the World Cup before, so that would be a first time for her.
That looks very, very good there for Abersold. Congratulations to her. And I'm sure that will be the win. But then that says if Tova Alexanderson was only 30 seconds behind, can the Swede get into the top 3 then here? Here's Megan Carter-Davis in towards the finish. And you can see she is about 2 minutes down, going to be just outside that top 20. So Megan Carter-Davis into 24th. the reigning sprint world champion. It's very quick to go and get the download there. So hopefully recovered from her illness that took her out of the first round of the World Cup. So her first World Cup run this year. And we've just got one athlete that we're waiting for then. Our last starter, Tove Alexandersson. She has punched a pre-warning control, and here she is.
There she is.
Can spot the figure in blue.
Yeah, she's not going to be a threat for Simona Aebersold, but maybe into top 5.
So something quite special in this last stages here, in amongst these boats, right on the waterfront. There's a control in between those buildings there, and then the last stages of the course. She is already behind the time of Aebersold, but where will she end up? She's slower than Dyrkorn, which will give Anna Dyrkorn a top 3 then, her best ever World Cup results, and Alexandersson into 4th.
Yeah, it's the first top 3 for Anna Dyrkorn, and it's the first sprint World Cup victory for Simona Aebersold.
And I think, looking at this, we looked at the courses, you mentioned have a look at the courses yesterday. That's not really a surprise, isn't it? That somebody, maybe on our outsiders list would be able to get so high up here. And as well, shout out to Ben Lahayu, Victoria Hestad and Everly Karsaku as well.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, it opened up a bit for others. We could see that almost everyone here did mistakes throughout the course. Maybe except for Anna Dyrkorn. Yeah, she didn't have the very best route to Control 7, but she was close to a very, very good technical race here. Big gaps in this sprint. It was a very different sprint compared to the one we have seen last week, where it was so much about the speed, about the routines, about to get basically speed in every moment of the sprint orienteering. Here it was about not taking a route that is kind of throwing you out of the decision. You had to keep as in the competition for as long as possible, and then in the end, the ones we had here in the top 5, they were fighting for the victory as well. Let's take the comparison again. I'm sure we're going to see that. There were different route choices between 1 and 2, and also 3 and 4. But in the end, the most important one was to not take the very wrong here between 4 and 5, because it was the beginning of the end for Tove Alexandersson. You can see that Aebersold didn't have the best exit from Control 4, hesitated a bit, but kind of saved it up a bit when she turned again. Then here, I think Alexandersson, a good beginning of the route between 6 and 7, but then second part wasn't good. And Dyrkorn at Control 9, the quickest still. The route choice between 10 and 11, different option, not as important to take the right one as it was earlier in the race. Not the best option there by Dyrkorn. She could have continued and avoided the steps. And now let's see where Aebersold made the difference on the different route to 15, different route to 16. Yeah, there was a mistake by Gempele to Control 16, not having the best route. And you can also see the speed by Gempele better than the one Dyrkorn had. So the decision between this girl and...
Simona Aebersold, congratulations on your win here today in Genoa. How did you experience the race?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was extremely tricky. The beginning in the forest, you had to be really, really accurate with your orienteering. And then I made some mistake on the way down. After caves, I didn't really see where every path was going, so it's extremely tricky. I took a lot of time for the route choices to decide them, and then I just pushed really hard in the execution.
And it seems like you're actually winning on the last controls compared to Natalia Gembele. What was your experience going through the last part of the course?
I just knew that I had to push like crazy. I was so tired. I felt like almost fainting, but I knew that I had to really focus on the technique and execute my route choices as I had planned them. So it went really well at the technical part.
And we saw you had 2 second places last weekend in Switzerland and now a win. How do you explain this great shape?
Yeah, the great shape was already there last weekend. I made a few mistakes on Sunday, a lot of wrong routes, so I knew that today the shape was still really good and I had to focus on the technique to just take the right route choices and really make sure that I took enough time to decide them.
And this means you lead the World Cup now. How does that feel?
That is really cool. I mean, it's my big dream to once win an overall World Cup, so I'm on the best way there. There's still some races, but now the sprint part is done, so I'm really looking forward to the forest part to the end of the World Cup season. But yeah, first walk in Edinburgh.
And there's a sprint relay tomorrow coming up. How do you feel? I mean, you look tired definitely now, but what are your thoughts on the sprint relay tomorrow?
I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it's nice to run like by the sea, really nice views, and I know that hills are my strength. So yeah, I'm trying to take all the good routes tomorrow as well.
Thank you and congratulations, Simona.
Thank you very much.
So Simona Aebersold there, she's running with so much confidence there. Just the way she's talking, she knows her shape is good, and that has given her a lot of confidence. So confirmation then, that top 3, Anna Djukorn crossing the line there, was relatively early starter, started a whole half an hour before the likes of Simona Aebersold.
And I mean, I was about to say it before we went into the interview, didn't really have the chance. The race in the end was decided to control 16, where Natalia Gembele did a mistake. Of course, Simona didn't know it in the interview that it's this particular point where she made the difference, but I would say it was about half a minute there.
And what do you think about her comment about her saying she wanted to take the time to look at the route choices and make a good decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's very crucial, as we have seen throughout the competition. But for me, it's a bit surprising that so many missed that route between 4 and 5. It's very hard to see, I have to admit that. But you know on beforehand that it's going to be like this, that there are many options. It's very easy to make route choices here, and you should suspect them to come, so you should be prepared. And if you don't see one you think is quick, you should keep on looking for them, because today it was not about 5 to 7 seconds if you pick the wrong one. It's about 40-50 seconds, and then you're out of the competition.
Yeah, I would have loved to have had a camera there at control number 4 to see how they were behaving and how much time people were taking and how much they were stopping to get that correct route choice down into control 5. Very, very interesting to see. We saw some of them kind of pause at number 9. Yeah, it was really interesting to see that. So Anna Djukorn, amazing for her to get this top 3, her best result at the World Cup, and she can tell she really pleased being cheered on by her teammates. Natalia Gembele is in incredible form right now with very, very consistent results, and obviously across all these types of different terrain as well, just proving that. But her first Sprint World Cup win, Simona Aebersold is running with so much confidence. She really trusts her shape right now. She's had a really good winter, and she knows that she's very strong on those hills as well. So she was able to invest those seconds in making the right route choices as well. So your top three then in the women's sprint, and that's only one of the two races, of course, that we've got going on today. We've got the men's still to come, and I mean, this course through the women's wide open. Jonas, is it going to do the same for the men's?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very similar when it comes to the characteristics of the sprint. I would say, yeah, as we know in the women's competition, usually we have 2-3 big favorites, and in a competition like this, it opens up a little bit. When we come to the men's, we have like, I would say, almost 7, 8, 9 runners who could win a normal sprint, and now when it's this kind of characteristics, I think it opens up even more. So it's going to be a very interesting sprint also in the men's class for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see just the confirmation there of Simone Abersold at the top of the World Cup standings then. So points awarded based on your position in all of the World Cup races. And of course, we move on to the men's competition. Quite a similar course then for the men's, but actually it's been quite interesting how, because a lot of the men and women were starting together, with only 1 minute apart, it's quite interesting how the course setter has designed the courses to be a bit different to make sure they can't just, I guess, kind of follow each other around these courses. They've got a different control, number one. But some of these key parts are very, very kind of similar through the Italian garden section in these small streets here, where they can do these small route choices, and we can follow them with the drone as well. So 3.6 kilometers, 130 meters of climb, possibly you can take on this course. And yeah, the men's certainly has a very interesting route choice that I'm sure we will talk about quite a bit in the course. But Jonas, here's the map. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. It's very similar. The idea is exactly the same. This sprint and the women's sprint. Of course, this one is a bit longer. You can see a different first control, but the idea behind is exactly the same. 2, 3, same control. 4, 5, very similar kind of route choice. Also 6, then the TV control at 8. Interesting here. The route choice to 9. It's a longer leg in the men's relay. It's kind of a similar route choice, but it's much longer. And here you have the possibility to go all the way up to this. I think it's a school. And I would say the course planner even said that he expects it to be the quickest route. Then TV control again at control 12 in this section. In the city center or the village center, and a bit of a longer loop here in the men's class again. Also here, second time, kind of avoiding to get in this very narrow bit, 17, 18, a route choice where you can pass control 15 or control 12. And then the last controls, not exactly the same control 21 we haven't seen in the women's race, but it's very similar there in the end. Closer look, not exactly the same control here in the beginning, but the same kind of decision you have to take. Different option here. You could take blue. It's quite short and runnability is good in the forest. I think it would be a quick one, but for me it's just a risk you don't take in the beginning of a course, because you don't know about the green, you don't know about how bushy it is, how the runnability is, you're not really used to the map yet, so I don't expect any of the runners to take this one. But that's the section we have seen already in the women's preview. So you can see the runnability in this park bit is good. No problems here. It's not very difficult forest orienteering or anything. It's just something else. And then the control we have seen, the most decisive one. It's not exactly the same control. The women had one control in between here, but it is the same idea. Take this narrow bit in kind of cave out from control 4, then blue you can cut over the grass there, get to control 5. You can see it here. It is very narrow. It's not very hard to, not very easy to spot. You have to be prepared. You have to see it on the map in order to see it in the terrain as well. And yeah, we know from the women's race you can easily lose half a minute here if you choose the wrong route choice or the wrong route.
And I think you have to beware the animation out of control 4 is slightly wrong. You have to go underneath them on wiggle round in the cave, whereas where
yeah,
it
exactly.
comes out, it crosses the black line, and so it's not quite right on the map there.
What we've seen in the picture to the left was correct, but what we see
Yes.
on the route there is not correct, because of course you can't cut over this, yeah, the black line there. And that's what Simona talked about when she talked about the good view you had on the course. I don't know how much
she should not
enjoyed
be
it.
looking at the view. I was like, she can't. Surely she's not looking at the view,
But
really.
we don't know what they see from the pre-start and everything.
Maybe she's just enjoying eating a lot of gelato or something like that, and having that, sitting in eating ice cream and watching the sea, something like that. Anyway, here's the start list. Then we'll count down to the top in the world, and maybe always this is the point where we want to bring out some of our favourites. So who do you want to pick out then, Jonas?
I would pick out number 25 here, Isak von Krusenstjerna, was 8 last week. Erik Langedal Breivik 6th, was even in the top 3 in the middle of the run, was very strong physically right now. But then of course, yeah, Thomas Heikkilä, Emil Svensk, Joey Hadorn, Yannick Michels, Jonathan Gustafsson, Martin Rekborn. There's so many strong runners here, and even I think Daniel Hopman. On a course, you need a lot of experience when it's technical. He's so quick around corners in narrow bits. Could suit him as well. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? This kind of course throws things open, where especially if we see some of our top favourites, the quickest athletes making mistakes, as we saw in the women's race. It's really is all to play for. So these are then the standings at the finish. So home runner Mattia De Bertollis is our current leader, 15 minutes and 14 seconds. Mats Eidsmo just 1 second behind. So but lots of athletes still to come.
And I mean, one point we haven't been talking about so far when it comes to the runners maybe we see right now starting is it's all about the starting possibilities at the World Championships as well. There are not so many international sprints coming after this one. It's a very good chance to show your coaches that you should be within teams. And I mean, talking about a runner like Daniel Hopman, even though we haven't had one Swiss runner in the top 10 last weekend, it's still not easy to make it into the team, and you have to prove that you want to be a part of it, especially when you're over 40 years old. So it's an important race here for many of the runners.
Yeah, definitely. Selectors are going to want to see how people cope with being under pressure in these kind of situations, and how you're able to cope with a world-class field and all the quarantine and everything, and the preparation that it involves. So, I mean, Tino Polsini was the best Swiss last weekend in the individual sprint, the best Swiss man. So all to play for. Francesco Mariani, he was 11th last weekend. So we see one of the Italian runners then heading out of the start. He's got a lot of potential then for this section, as we see Nathan Lawson into the finish. So the men have that control as a bit of an extra one compared to the women. And Nathan Lawson in towards the finish here. He's going to be more than 30 seconds down at this point. So not the best Brit in the finish, but not too bad here from Nathan. Again, there's a lot of competition, I can tell you, for making the British team at what will be a home World Championships for them. Tino Polsini, I mentioned him as the best Swiss last Sunday.
Didn't have the best route between 4 and 5, but still quite an okay time here. But we know that it costs you about half a minute if you choose the route he has chosen, so maybe in the end it will be a bigger difference there.
Teemu Oksanen made the final of last weekend's knockout, was 31st in the individual. It's a very, very different test here. And maybe if you're going to spend more time looking at the maps in advance, surely you're going to spend more time looking at this one, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's an important one. You see that Glonek a bit more to the left. You have so many different options here, and you have to be so careful in order to pick the right one. Here we have Glonek to the split time. If I spotted it right, I think he had a good route to control 5. Then maybe not the quickest to 6. But as we know from Polsini, should be room for a good time if you pick right between 4 and 5. Yes, you can see that. Not that far behind Hupacek.
Again, just look at the amount of time he's spending looking at the map. And this is kind of more interesting, this point, on the men's course compared to the women's, because now you have this long leg over to the next control that is really could be very, very decisive. And we do think it's best to go this way and go up.
We know.
But it's a big decision.
We know it's 600, around 630 meter. If you take the option Glonek is taking here, it's a bit more to climb. If you fall down, you have to do around 750, so more than 100 meters more, and you have to take steps as well. So I think it's actually a good option to climb, especially when you think about the fact that there's not that much climbing in the very beginning. It's quite a lot of downhill, so you should have some energy at control 8 and then towards 9.
Yeah, very interesting route choices here. This is Fabian Abersold, who has taken a good route choice to this control, but he definitely missed the optimum route choice to control 5.
Very quick runner. Fabian Abersold, see that the difference not too big right now, will be more in the end.
Yeah, this is certainly a decent start. So 15th at the moment. Ooh,
not the best exit there.
Yeah, I wish we'd stayed with him slightly longer to see what he was going to do, because I wondered that he was about to stop and turn back. Very tricky to be able to tell. Cornelius Björk from Norway. He's on his way to the second TV control. So for the men, this is number 11.
This is Ruohola. Bartgevicius. None of them we had in the graphics.
There he is. There's Cornelius Björk, I think. Yep.
Yeah.
And Fabian Abersold did go the lower route, by the way. The one that's a bit further, but less climb.
Now I hope that we will switch back soon. I think we'll take Polsini to the split first. Good section here, but we're going to see Francesco Mariani at control 8 very soon. It seemed to have had a good start. Here he is.
Yeah, he's already punched that control. Not maybe, so taking the lower route choice, less climb, but it is at least 100 meters further.
But interesting as well that he actually had good route choices, but he lost time anyway. So maybe he hesitated for quite a bit, or then he had problems in the very beginning.
So we can take Glonek again. He did go up and back down to control number 9. So we get this is control number 11, and we get the punch at the next control. Glonek was in 7th place, 14 seconds down at TV1. So catching up time then. So I think, yeah, good. He went up and down, so that looks very good. Then Attinger on his way into the finish. You can see he was leading at split number 2. And this will be a new best time here at the finish. Florian Attinger from Switzerland.
Quite a good time, just around 15 minutes. But talking about new leader, I think we're going to see one here. Timo Oksanen had a good start. No, he lost time. He was very quick in the beginning. Must have lost time here somewhere.
Yeah, and you could see leaving the control and then cheeking the route choice. Then there's definitely some coaches who'll say don't take any direction out of the control before you've decided your route, because it's then going to influence which way you actually go.
I hope we're going to see that, because I think that Oksanen was quite good into control 6. You can see it. It's not too far behind here. Lost time there somewhere.
Fabian Abersold. And if you remember, he went down, and so he was, I think, a very similar time to his teammate. Now 14 seconds down, but very kind of attacking. Here's Johnny Crickmore. That's TV split number 1 in these Italian gardens. If you had a chance to look up, you'd see a very good view, but no. So Crickmore into 30th position. And you can see he'd already kind of prepared that route choice. He will go down the steps.
That's Mariani, and it looks like a good race for him so far. Was he 11 seconds behind at the first TV control? Now he's on the way to the second one.
Yeah, this is the control before. Yeah, he looks like he's had a very good midsection of the race. Just 1 second behind Florian Attinger, who is still our leader at the finish.
That's Tino Pausini on the way to the last control and then the finish. I don't think he's going to beat his teammate Attinger, but
no.
It's going to be second.
Yep, it will be second place. So Switzerland 1 and 2, just 5 seconds apart. Swiss have prepared well. I wonder if they had a good map or something, like they've really done good team preparations, maybe in talking about this course and maybe visualizing the possibilities as well, because they've had good results all rounds.
That's from Krusenstjerna. He did not have a good route out from, well, out from 5. It was okay, not the best one there already, but then he took this section through the church and all the way around to control 6. He could even entered. No, he got, yeah. No, he really messed that one up. you have to name it.
Yeah.
I tried to find some maybe less straight words, but impossible. He messed it up.
Yeah, to be a minute and a half down at that point and to
You can
be
see
that
it
far
here.
down, this is the route.
And
So
then
the
the blue
orange.
line is going all the way where the orange one. You can see it's it's too far. He went out the church there, and then all the way around. A lot of distance he had to do there.
Jakob Dönek then in towards the finish. And it's going to be, I think, just outside this top 3. So one who's going to be the same time as his teammate, yep. Dönek and Hubacek into exactly the same time. But the thumbs up from Jakob Dönek. He had a good finish as well. So always just a few seconds here and there, kind of behind and then catching up some seconds, then behind again compared to the leader. Janis Bonek, the next to start, just so that quick picture of him, the Austrian athlete. And this is the second TV split. And it's not often that you're orienteering around all these fishing boats, but these are marked in this kind of pink colour on the map. A lot of them have kind of taped around them. And you can see there is a control in between the buildings in the far distance on the left of the picture there. Then the men have got a extra control, as you can see, just on the corner of the building. And where will Abersold end up then?
And I mean, that's something we were talking about before. There are not so many spots for the World Championships. Now we have 2 Swiss in the lead, Abersold into 8, 22 seconds behind. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, different nations will kind of obviously have different ways of selecting their teams. Some will put more priority on these kind of races here, but it's still, you know, a month and a half to go before those World Championships. I know the British team have only got their selection race a couple of weeks before those World Championships. And Johnny Crickmall's going to try and make it onto that team. He is just a second slower than Pete Malloy.
And this is Francesco Mariani. That's going to be interesting now. Don't
It's
think he's
very
going to be nothing in it.
No, but it's going to be good though. It's a really quick time here from the Italian to back up his 11th place last weekend. He comes here in towards the finish, and where he up equal seconds.
And you can see it was very, very close throughout the whole course between him and Attegir. Always plus minus 5 to 10 seconds. I think this is Hoopman, Martin Hoopman, and I can tell you he has picked like not many decisions he has picked right so far.
You were about to say he's picked everything wrong.
Yeah,
but maybe
not really everything, but he's picked wrong 4 or 5 times on 8 controls.
Ouch.
But I mean, the time gap wasn't so big. I expected him to be about 1.5 minutes behind. But something I noticed now is I don't think the difference is as big in the men's race as in the women's race if you pick the wrong one to control 5. It's only
Yeah,
about
because the
20
women's had
seconds
a
and not
different control
40.
in there.
Yeah,
So, yeah, very, very different. Mika Kimmeler next to start. And we are getting towards those runners ranked in the top 10. But there's, any of these runners starting around about now, you could expect them to, you wouldn't be too surprised if there was an upset and if they were to be in top 3 in the top 6. Certainly a possibility. Timo Oksanen then. In fact, I think he's had a really good end of this course. He's going to go into 9th place. So 21 seconds is the gap behind Florian Attinger.
Great race there in the knockout sprint in Alton in the final there for Timo Oksanen. Right now in 9th position.
And I don't know if you can hear that there, but that sounds like there was a missed punch then from the Italian, from Mariani, and absolutely gutted then for the athlete, the home athlete. We do have quite a few people who've mispunched actually. But, tricky
yeah, and
stuff
we don't
then.
have him in our system anymore, so I think you were right. And you can see here Molén not having the best option out of control 4.
So did he mess up going into control 4? I think he must have done because he.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
mean, I think so, but yeah, I think he entered this lower entrance and then had to go through the cave to the control and then through it again. It surprised me a bit that he then misses to go on the quicker route because he has already been into the cave. But
yeah,
it's
this
not
is a
very
long
easy
way.
to read details out of this GPS track.
No, that's true, especially when obviously some of it is going underneath some of the gaps. But yeah, there's definitely either messing up going into or out of 4 and then going the wrong route
And
choice
here,
as well to 5.
out from control 5, it would be better to go back to the steps, then go straight to the point where Molén is soon. I think it's a bit quicker, but the difference won't be that big.
So Michaela Lejnik, the Polish athlete, you can see just 1 minute and 9 seconds down, puts them into 40th place. And the the depth of the field is here. It's so strong. You can see a lot of very similar times. Martin Hibman on his way to the 11th control. And you can see he's already slower than his teammate Attinger, who's still our current leader at the finish.
I think he was around 45 seconds behind at the first TV control. It might be a bit closer again. Yeah, I was 42 seconds behind at the first TV control. Now it's 39, so he didn't lose so much time between the first and the second TV control. This is Max Peter Bremer at the start.
Yeah, he took a top 20 last weekend in the individual sprints. Janis Bonek, though, a whole minute down at this point. He didn't really have a great race kind of weekend last weekend either.
Had problems with the concussion, I think. So not best shape probably so far.
Here's a former sprint world champion then, Isaac von Krusenfahrer. But again, you can see more than a minute slower than Attinger. So finish 35th.
Wasn't happy.
No, I think you can, you can tell how many hesitations you've taken. You can kind of get a good kind of sense of feeling whether you've had a good run or not, I think, on this kind of course.
Yeah,
Timo
and
Suter.
the time is quite a good indication as well.
Well, yes. But even before you got there, stopping here.
But I mean, he is doing what I was talking about before. He's waiting until he sees the route. This is Kirmula. He could have entered there. You can go around and enter from here. Actually, you can avoid a few steps. I don't think you lose a lot of time. He had a good route choice between 4 and 5. Maybe not the very best one between 5 and 6. And here he missed the entrance by a few meters. But still a good start for Kirmula.
Yeah, very good start for the Finn to be in touching distance here. And of course, those who are leading at this point, not our current leaders at the finish. It's crucial to add. So still a lot more kind of mistakes being made in the second part, but third place at this point, 9 seconds down. That's very, very strong. Thomas Heikela then, he has really burst onto the scene in sprint orienteering with a third and a second place, third as well at the European Champs. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what how he copes with this very technical course.
It's exactly what I was about to say. I mean, he's so strong in sprint right now, but we haven't seen him really on a challenge like this one when there's so many added technical challenges. So it's going to be so interesting to see him. We know that his shape is just incredible.
Yeah, and he could really show that in Switzerland. He could show that at the European Champs in Italy last year as well, both which were quite maybe more straightforward courses.
No, he
Bit
missed
quicker.
the second last control there, Francesco Mariani.
No.
No, the last control. Mispunched at control 22, so he mispunched the last control. That seems strange. If it was the last control, I wouldn't be surprised if they... I mean, if the punch is missing, they can disqualify him. They could also decide to try to download the device. Sometimes you get the punch there, but it's up to the organizers.
Yeah, you can interrogate the box and see what it said as well. But look, Cat Burn, that was a good point for him into 5th place there at the TV control number 1. Ricardo Rankin next to start, made a semi-final of the knockout last weekend. He always wears this backwards baseball cap.
Yeah, as
Pretty
Mariani
much
as
always
well.
a white one as well. So very easy to spot. Thank you very much. And can fly with the drone through the streets then here. This is Janis Bonek. But are we... his August Mullane is there too, who had an absolute mare at the start of his race. So Janis Bonek has actually caught August Mullane by 90 seconds then. And now we have, look, Capburn you can see has gone high. Shorter route, but it is quite a lot of climb. It's 2.5 meter contours here, by the way.
And I think we're going to have Daniel Hoopman to the TV control very soon. We are changing to Emil Svensk.
Yeah, Emil Svensk, winner of the race last weekend, individual sprints.
Here's
very,
Hoopman.
very quick.
Quite a good start.
Yeah, very good start. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so changing his mind, I think. But he needs to go left and down the steps. Yeah, those ones. as Emil Svensk starts. That's kind of, I guess, the highlight, just to highlight how tricky that course is. You have those, and the intention of the course setter, you have those like three quite easy controls in the garden there, but it just means you can't plan ahead for that route choice at all, and you have to make such quick decisions and take in as much information as quickly as you can.
And I mean, this route choice is really obvious that it is a route choice and that it is important to look at it. I mean, between 4 and 5, it's a rather short control. Usually you don't have so clear route choice on the shorter control. So I think it's easier to spot that you have to be careful between 8 and 9 than between 4 and 5.
Definitely. It's a very, very obvious left or right, in my opinion. But then there's so many kind of walls and levels on the map. It makes it really hard to see whether you can get through or whether you can't. But Mika Kiermala, he was in 10th place, third place at TV1, just 9 seconds down. And so he's actually caught up some time then here. 6 seconds behind Attinger. Still a significant section of the course yet to go. Some tricky controls still. Back towards the park, Max Petterbemer.
About half a minute behind. See where he is going. Going down as well. And then next one to this TV control is going to be Heikkilä. Start interval 1.5 minutes.
So flying down this hill with Lurt Catburn. He's on his way to split number 2. There's one more control before it. You can just see how he's really using his arms to kind of get up that hill. The stairs aren't too much of an issue, but the climb certainly will be, especially towards the end of this course as well.
Catburn was 10 seconds behind at the first TV control, and you can see the time. He has had a very good second part of the course.
And I think he was one of the few that's gone up and down. Yeah. And I think this might do it for him. Well, it is if he gets this correct here. Very good. So a new leader then here at this point. Although, you know, some hesitations there, and it's always a trade-off. You know, he's taken all of these contours.
This is the route choice we were talking about, where he made the difference.
Both of these routes, you have to go a long way, like beyond the control and then back. And I think it's much easier to see that on the up and down option. But whereas the southern one, it's harder to see. You've got to kind of still go quite a long way beyond the control. Well, Joey Haddon likes climbing. We'll have to see if he's going to take that up and down route choice. Well, I don't know that he likes climbing.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. He's very good at it.
He is very good. I'm sure he enjoys being good at stuff. So,
that's,
you know.
That's very much true.
So we have Jonas Bonnet going here and August Mullane in together, but we're looking for the Austrian, because he is the quicker man here, but still over 40 seconds down. Heading into the finish into 19th place. Okay, back towards this climb. This looks like Daniel Hubmann. It is. And the Swiss runner's experience, is it going to pay off here?
He was 16 seconds behind at the first TV control. He didn't take this quickest route to the top, so maybe gonna lose a bit of time compared to Catburn. Yes, indeed.
So equal time with Abersold, 23 seconds slower than Catburn. So I was thinking that these two might have been fairly equal, but no, I think it's definitely quicker to go up then, and that's put Catburn into the lead at this point. Split 2 by just the 9 seconds at the moment. Florian Attinger still our current leader at the finish, but we've got a lot of our really, really top athletes about to head out of the start. One of them is just this man, Yannick Michels. He was 5th in the individual sprint. He's a current reigning bronze medalist in the World Champs sprint. He's taken several top threes in the World Cup, including in Českolipa in Czechia at the end of last season. And again, we've talked about this so much. He's such a sprint dedicated, a sprint specialist athlete. He really trains for this kind of discipline, and I think especially the individual sprint as well. So he's going to really want to attack this. And here is Emil Svensk. You can get a little bit of a glimpse of what it is like going through these tunnels. It's such interesting orienteering. It's so tricky. It's really cool.
Yeah, good to get a few pictures there from this passage. This is Mika Kirmala on the way to the finish, and I think he's fighting for the leading time. He won't make it, but he will gonna be in second position probably.
Yep, chasing for the line, and he's in third then. Mika Kirmala just 6 seconds behind. I don't know whether he's happy or not happy with that one. It's really hard to tell. Here's Emil Svensk though. You can see going around these barriers. They've been put in place kind of mostly so you don't run on the path.
You can see it. He lost about 50 seconds here between control 4 and control 8.
Okay, this decision then here, and he's going to go up. This is certainly a good one here, but he's already a long way down. So far from ideal start for Emil Svensk.
And I think I have to start to look up what Florian Attinger's best result in the World Cup is.
Yes, I think you might.
Ninth place from the European Championships.
So Capburn can take a different route to what's a lot of those we've seen, and what is he going to do? Because you can see, compared to Attinger, it's equal time then. So can there be a new lead? Everything to play for here. Look, Capburn as he storms around this last corner, really puts his head down. Is he going to get a new leading time? He is going to. 2 seconds then for the Frenchman. And that was a good route choice, going up and down
you could
on
see
that long, that's giving it to him.
You could see it at the splits there, that it was just this route choice that turned his race around. He was behind at the 4th control and then in the lead at control 8. Back with Thomas Heikkilä, I think he lost a lot of time around the TV control. You can see it here, almost a minute.
53 seconds down for someone who's been so consistent. Here's Joey Hadorn, and he had a very, very quick first couple of controls. But what has he been able to do here?
I think it looked quite good on his GPS.
Well, the pre-warning is before all the tricky parts, so it's really going to be hard to see, but he's certainly in contention, I think.
And interesting to see now if he is going to climb to the next control, if he is able to spot this route choice up the hill, or this route.
Yeah, this could be really, really crucial for Hadorn.
Yeah, no hesitation.
Okay. Yeah.
He is seeing the climb.
Yep. That is. I wonder where he made that decision actually to take that route choice, because he is no questions asked there as he punched the control. And Daniel Hoodman in towards the finish. I think this technical sprint will really have suited him, and he's going to come into a top 6 position. Daniel Hoodman into 5th.
For him, it would have been very important to be ahead of Florian Attinger and Tino Polsini, especially Polsini had a good race last week already.
Yes, so there's a lot of the Swiss men are very, very even when it comes to the sprinting, and yeah, really going to be tricky to know who's going to make it onto that World Championships team. Thomas Krivda next to start. He was in 10th spot on the individual sprint last weekend. What will he do here? Håvard Sandstad Eidsmo next to make it into the Italian Garden. Throwing himself down the steps.
It's a good tactics when you lose coordination, just jump.
Yeah, and try and stay upright though. But you can see that our running cam is struggling to keep up with him.
I think it was an okay start, not the quickest one, but still quite okay.
You just see he's refolding that map as well, trying to take smooth lines around here towards the next control. And yeah, this is pretty decent. Is he prepared though for the route choice? Not really.
I think actually, hope we're gonna see Hadon's route choice to control 9, because he definitely did a mistake.
So Emil Svensk, we know he'd lost a lot of time early on. To be honest, I think he was about 53 seconds down, so he's caught up a few seconds, but yeah, there's not much he can do now as we head back towards the start. So we're now in the top 4 runners on the start list. Martin Regborn got a 4th and a 3rd place last weekend. And I mean, we talk a lot about how the forest can be so different, so much different kind of terrains around the world. And I think a lot of people think, oh, sprint is sprint, but this is so different to last weekend. And this just makes it incredibly, incredibly exciting. So one of the favourites, Yannick Michels, the Belgian, into this Italian garden. So he's a little bit behind, but not too bad here.
And I don't know,
Not too bad.
you haven't mentioned, did you see that Loic Capin is not on the result list anymore? With a missed punch in our graphics, so it's still Florian Attinger as far as I can see. He is labeled as missed punch, Loic Capin.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe you're going to see.
Find out which one that was.
Yeah, here we get a missed punch at control 13. Let's see, that's one of the controls just before the map flip. I mean, we saw him stopping a bit after control 12. I think he wasn't very well prepared for the next control. Maybe it's overreading it. This is Heikkilä to the finish, 41 seconds behind.
Yeah, straight looking into the map. He's not at all happy with that one. We asked the question, what would happen to him on a more tricky course? And that is the answer. Next to start then, Kasper Fosse from Norway. And he is such a quality athlete. He always knows how to get the best out of himself when it comes to the big races. But I think clearly not in the best shape at the moment after only making the quarterfinal and the knockout, taking 29th in the individuals. So Kasper Fosse is going to find it very, very tricky to make a dent on the results here. Joey Hadon then, he had a great time coming through TV1, and I do wonder if we're going to see his, because he kind of went down one of the wrong, I guess, kind of ramps.
Yeah, just out from control 8, he went the wrong kind of road. Didn't go to the church, was too low.
Yeah, and so has lost 30 seconds at least on that one.
It's Gustafsson. And this is Krivda. Yeah, as I said, if you lose coordination, just jump.
And actually, the fact that we were seeing Gustafsson at this one and now we're seeing Krivda so soon, I think this is looking good for the Czech athlete.
For Gustafsson.
No. Gustafsson, who was 2nd and 4th last weekend,
very good
not
start for Krivda.
And you can, I think, last weekend we didn't see too many top results from the Czech athletes, but you can see they're much higher up, obviously, today. And into 2nd, but he needs to go high. He's not the best. He's not going to lose. I don't think he's going to lose loads of time here.
On the other hand, we have seen Capern going up there. We have seen Hadon going up there, and Capern is mispunched. Hadon did a big mistake there. Now we see Michels is going up there as well. It's going to be interesting. Now it's very close between the two of them.
And our last starter then today is Ralph Street. He does have one World Cup win to his name. That was the end of last season in the Czech Republic. Was 16th last weekend. Has had some injury troubles this weekend, but I mean, he's spotted some good routes when we've had knockout sprints before. Do you think this kind of race could suit him?
Yeah, I think it could suit him. Maybe for him, quite a good race. If you're not having this top shape, you would rather, I mean, you prefer to have a technical sprint to a sprint we had last week. So definitely, I think he has good chances to at least end up in the top 10 here today.
Well, Emil Svensk has clearly got good shape, but not the good technical execution that he needed in today's race, and he's going to be outside the top 30.
But back
Over a
to
minute down.
Michels, we've seen him
This is gonna be
24
interesting.
seconds behind at the first TV control. Then we saw the different route choice. Then he was 8 seconds behind only at the pre-warning. Now he lost another 10 seconds from there, 12 seconds even. I think he was
Well, I think the
closer.
graphic is, I think he's
It was
11 seconds behind
yeah.
there, I think.
But interesting, you
Martin
could see it was around 13 seconds quicker to go to the north, to go to the top of the hill.
So Regborn picking a good route then. Can definitely see that.
I have to say it's about 10 seconds quicker because Attinger is 8 seconds behind as well at the first TV control.
And that was Tim
Here-
Robertson.
Here at this point, Haddon was below there on the other road and not going up to this exit.
Yeah, and through, this is the entrance into the church. They actually opened this up, so they think the athletes won't have obviously been able to prepare for that. So it opens up certainly those different route choices. But Tim Robertson should be on his way through to the next controls because maybe I think he's going to cut through the terrain. And obviously he's seen Regborn going up on this route choice. It shows it's a valid option.
Would be good for him to take this one as well.
Again, Tim Robertson, one who's been struggling with injuries over this winter, I think was just glad to be out and running last weekend. Still had some very respectable routes, and this is a really good start from the Kiwi.
And if you looked at the race last week, he had really good times in the beginning. So he has the speed, but he has not the shape to keep it throughout the course. Maybe today it's a good course for him because you have quite a lot of downhill in the beginning. And it's not that physical until control 8, so maybe he gets a bit further into the course until he starts to really, lose seconds due to his shape. I don't think he's gonna win, but maybe a bit better than last week.
So that is Gustafsson into 28th. And actually, he's caught up 3 minutes on Havard Sansadeidsmo, who we just saw it through there. Oh, or maybe he's on the second loop, sorry. So actually, that probably is explaining why. And wow, okay. Fossa has had a flyer. This is very, very quick here.
But it's the same for him. I mean, if you lose due to physical, maybe not being in the best shape or anything, you will lose it in the second part. He's 9 seconds ahead, not gonna take this quick route to the top. But very good start for Fosse.
Yeah, very good start for Fosse. And Krivda goes the same time as Attinger, so this is very quick here from the Czech athlete. So maybe some illness or something last week then from Kasper Fosse because he's had a very good start. So Thomas Krivda, Kasper Fosse, Yannick Michels, Tim Robertson, all still there with opportunities to take a good time, take a win. Havard Sansadeidsmo then next in towards the finish, the Norwegian. So going to be just outside this top 10, so close here in the finish. Eidsmo into 13th.
Now we have only 7 athletes left. As I said earlier, the best result for Attinger was a 9th. He's going to have his best result today in the World Cup for sure.
And Yannick Michels should be the next one in towards the finish, the Belgian athlete.
Next to wait for into the finish is Yannick Michels.
Let's see, he should be here really soon. Here's Martin Regborn.
Regborn was 37 seconds behind at the first TV control. Now he's only 6 seconds behind at the pre-warning. A very, very good second part here by Martin Regborn. Yeah. Well done here in the second section.
Yannick Michels in towards the finish. Not going to be enough to take the lead, but can he get into the top 3 here? Yannick Michels from Belgium, a sprint specialist. He will be outside the top 3, but only just then on a very, very technical course into 4th place. So top 4 within 10 seconds. It's so incredibly close.
This is Tim Roberts. No. Yeah, it is.
Yep, it's Tim.
Tim Robertson. It was 18 seconds behind at the first TV control, then compared to Kasper Fosser.
Did he climb? Can we? Yes, I think he did climb up, and Kasper Fosser
he did
went
climb, yeah.
down. Kasper Fosser went down.
Yeah, so he should be closer compared to Fosser, but Fosser, of course, started behind Robertson. So we don't get this effect right now.
Oh, just 1 second down. Great middle speed there again from Robertson. And now it looks like that time from Attinger is surely going to be beaten. Only a few more minutes of racing still to go. And those are the standings at split number 2. Thomas Krivda in the lead by just 1 second ahead of Tim Robertson. Martin Regborn as well with some good mid-race speed. This is Kasper Fosser.
Yeah, easy to see at the running style. He's on the way to control 11 now.
Yeah, we'll get the time at the next split, and on the route choice from 8 to 9.
Oh, that's
he
good.
Dropped. So he dropped down and then kind of climbed back up again. But yeah, this is a really good time here.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a new best time.
Making it look so easy then here. 18 seconds ahead. That is a significant amount of time. This looks like Thomas Krivda then in towards the finish.
That's going to be interesting.
Is he going to take a new leading time here? This looks good here for the Czech athlete.
Yeah, the shared lead. Second TV control, but he's going to take over the lead from Attinger now, that's for sure.
Yeah, he definitely is. So new best time here at the finish from Thomas Krivda. 8 seconds in the lead. Amazing work then here from the Czech athlete. And actually, yeah, he's still with Kasper Fosser having gone through. He was in second place there, so lots to play for. And yeah, I was just looking on the GPS tracking because something clearly is wrong with Ralph here, then retiring from the course. I'm sure.
Good.
No, I hope he's okay. But yeah, I was looking at the GPS tracking. He was. Yeah, I was looking at the GPS tracking. He was looking a long way behind, but kind of taking good route choices. But yeah, clearly a retirement there. So Kasper Fosser will be the last athlete we count. Here's Martin Regborn though, and he was in a good position at this TV2.
Yeah, I should be able to take away the lead now. You can see it, he has 27 seconds left.
So Martin Regborn finding a lot of consistency here. He was 4th and 3rd last weekend, and this is going to be a new lead with both Tim Robertson and Casper Foster still to challenge him. So this, with a new lead, this should put him into third place overall at worst. Martin Regborn, Mr. Consistent then, into the lead, just 4 seconds ahead of Krivda, with only Tim Robertson and Casper Foster still to come. Again, and this is kind of route choice making really for kind of interesting reading on the splits. So Martin Regborn was a long way down at TV control number 1, 37 seconds slower than Casper Foster. In 27th position, but he's really kind of climbed, in 30th position, but he's really climbed up.
Yeah, great second part for the Ekborn. We were talking about that before. And now we are waiting for Tim Robertson first to the finish, and then also for Casper Foster.
Yeah, we should see these last two very, very shortly. Tim Robertson should be on his way. Here he is.
Yes.
The Kiwi. And we know he lost a little bit of time towards the end of last weekend's courses. And he's got to control between these two small buildings here. He's got to go round the small fishing boats.
Going to be interesting if he can keep
to the end.
pace compared to Attinger. I think it's going to be a fight between the two of them for the third position.
Yep, so you can see he's not going to take a new leading time here. Regborn will be second at worst. And Robertson now in the fight for a top 3 with Attinger. Just checking he's got the punch there. And I think he's not going to quite make it into the top 3 here today. But a good race here for the Kiwi, much improved on last weekend, and I think that technical challenge must really have suited him. So equal 5th then, equal with Kimmeler. But here is, well, second to last starter, but he's the last athlete we were expecting, as we think that this must have been a retirement from Ralph Street. And Casper Foster, we will follow him all the way through into the finish then, taking different route choices for this last control. Look at this time, this is incredible stuff.
Very, very good. He's definitely going to win this race today, and you can see the margin 40 seconds left. It is, as we said, it's more technical. The shape doesn't matter as much as it did last week. Very impressive.
Well, maybe it takes you back to saying maybe there was some illness or some other problems last weekend, because he is back into his winning ways then. Casper Foster, a huge margin in the end. 21 seconds is big on this sprint course if you look further down, and he is so happy with that. Back to winning ways and back to exactly where he likes to be, at the top of the results. And he didn't even take the best route choice on that long control to number 9, but clearly having enough speed and just having that very, very solid orienteering technique, not making too many mistakes, and it's put him in for the win.
Yeah, I mean, very, very good orienteering today. He had many good decisions today, not the best between 8 and 9, but in the end there were not so many of the top ranked runners who actually went and climbed up the hill. And you can see the 2 winners of today.
Yeah, they've told each other that they've both won, so they are partners, and something's being. There's evidently some very, very good prep and very good maybe preparation for this race in the Abersold Fossa household. Some happy Norwegian fans then who were just above that TV control, and Simone Abersold immediately trying to see how that course compares to hers.
Yeah, maybe for me the biggest surprise is on the 4th and 5th position, Florian Attinger and Tino Polsini. As I mentioned it before, Attinger's best before, a 9th position from the European champs. Polsini had an 11th as best before, and now they're both in the top 10. Also a bit surprising, Thomas Krivda, not as much of course as the others, but maybe not
and great
the one
to see an Italian in the top 10 as well. Yeah, Mattia De Bertollis was in the top 10.
You can also see that it was a much tighter race in the men's class compared to the women's. We had 20 runners within 1 minute. It was basically just Fosser who got away quite far from the others. Then it was quite tight behind. And something else you can say, if we compare this race to the women's one, the route choice between 4 and 5 was not as decisive. You didn't have a chance in the women's race if you picked it wrong. Here in this race, I think you had a tough time if you picked it wrong, but you could still make it into the top 10. So here we have the comparison between the 4 fastest runners, and you can see Rekborn here. That's what I mentioned. I mean, that's why he was so far behind. He was, as you said, on position 29-30 at the first TV control and still made it up to the second position, but it needed a very good run after it. And so here, see the different options. Fosser going down, Attinger as well, just Rekborn going on this quick one to the north. Definitely here one of the reasons why he was able to turn this around again towards his favor. For him it was a bit lucky that all the ones that picked right between 4 and 5 picked wrong between 8 and 9. And then this is the second part in the narrow streets of this village, and then the map flip at control 14. You can see control 15. It's not very easy to spot. Course planner was a bit concerned because it's on a straight line, but no one, as much as I could see, skipped that one. Different route choices here again. Rekborn compared to the other ones. Steep steps in the beginning, you had to go down there, but I think then you had a good entrance to control 18. Yeah.
So we're here with Kasper Fosser. Congratulations, Kasper, on your win today. A lot of runners have been talking about a tricky course, lots of challenges. How did you experience the race?
It was quite a lot as expected. Tricky forest sprint in the beginning, and then some tricky old town in the end. So had to have focus on the map the whole way. And yeah, I think we were really well prepared for this race. We had looked a lot on Google Street View and a lot of videos of people just walking around the park filming. So I felt like I knew what to expect, and I knew where the entrances were and where the tunnels could be, and that helped a lot today, I think.
But how do you think you executed the race? Did you have like a flawless performance, you think?
I think it was really good. Yeah, as we saw last weekend, I've had some troubles with my physical shape, but today with such a technical course, I managed really well, and I think I have a few hesitations and a bit of a slow start because I wanted to really read ahead on the course, but it was almost clean the whole way, taking the time I needed to read the map and really execute well, and I avoided almost every small mistake, so that's really good in a course like this.
As you mentioned, you were, I think, 29th on Sunday in Alton. You were knocked out in the quarterfinal. Has something happened, or is your physical shape still a bit below the top?
It's really hard to say. I was planning to go on altitude camp now on Monday, but now I'm going home to get some physical check and just to see that everything is okay, because last week and a couple of weeks before that was not a normal shape or feeling in the body. So, but now today it must have been really good physically as well. Of course, there's enough good runners that with last weekend's shape I would not be on top today, no matter what. So something has happened for sure, and that's I'm super relieved to see that. I was afraid that this season would be over already.
And before you go home, I guess there's a sprint relay for you as well tomorrow. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. After last weekend, we talked about maybe not having me on the first team, but now I think I made it to the first team again. So that will be super cool. We have so many good both girls and boys for the first team that we can definitely be big competitors to the likes of Sweden and Switzerland.
It's good to see you smiling again, Kasper. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Kasper Fosse then, really revealing interview as well. Really good questions there from Orienteering to kind of probe into what the problems are with Kasper Fosse's physical shape. He's clearly saying he just doesn't quite know yet. Going to go back home and try and get some of those questions answered. But it really just shows, even if there's some kind of problems with his physical shape, his technical orienteering is so incredibly good, you know. And even when we see him winning races, we go, oh yeah, his physical shape is so good, he's so strong, he's so fast. But actually, we should be talking about, of course, about the technical shape and the technical skills that he's got, because even if not in the best physical shape, he thinks he's put together a pretty flawless performance here. And yeah, he's managed to take the win with having a lot of kind of lack of confidence in his own physical shape. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, he mentioned it as well, that he felt different compared to last week. It was not only that he was quicker and the result was better, you could see in his face that he was so relieved about the feeling he had running. So it was definitely a good executed race, and maybe that's a bit connected to the fact that he isn't be very careful in order to even have a chance to get into the top 10. But now today, when it felt better in the body as well and everything came together, yeah, then we have him there up on the first position again.
So Thomas Kribler into third place there on this flower ceremony, but he's also going to want to have questions answered because he wants to have that good physical feeling at those World Championships in Edinburgh. He doesn't want to take the risk when that day is going to be feeling rubbish. But he can take then these top three. Martin Regborn, of course, Mr. Consistent, a fourth, third, and now a second place in this World Cup on this world stage. But back on the top of the podium, a very relieved Kasper Fosse, who had a very, very technically well executed race. And you can see him on the top of the podium. And I'm sure we'll see all of these guys in contention on the sprint relay tomorrow, taking place just a little bit further along the coast. And of course, unlike a World Championships, there's only one team per nation. There can be many, many teams per nation, and that's going to be very, very interesting, I think, then for these nations. First of all, to see who they're going to select in the teams, and then to see how they're going to compare when it's a really, really big field. And do you think, you know, we heard from, and then we had little commentators briefings that we heard yesterday from the course setter. Do you think he's going to be happy with how the race panned out today, Jonas?
He should be very, very happy about it. Yeah, but you could feel it. I mean, we saw the map, we saw the courses, and you could hear how passionate he was about the courses, and there was a thought in almost every leg, and I really liked it on beforehand. It turned out very good today as well. So yeah, a lot of credit to Alessio Tenani who planned these courses.
Yeah, but you can see that's what it's done to the standings then. Points awarded, you get 100 points for a win, and of course Simona Aebersold will have picked up a healthy number of points with another fantastic result today. And you know, you kind of heard in the interview, she really wants to take the overall World Cup title. That's all of the sprint races. The World Championships doesn't count anymore for the World Cup, but we do have races in Hungary and in Finland, forest races still to count then for the overall World Cup title. But yeah, it's been a great set of races here in Italy. Very, very tricky, very complex. and we will be returning then tomorrow for the sprint relay. Again, it's going to be very, very busy, very interesting, and lots of teams means anything could happen. We will bring you that broadcast tomorrow, and we will see you then.
See you then.